Greetings, my name is Owen Ryder and I am the author of the Christian book The Hourglass by Owen Ryder. In a letter that he wrote, Paul the Apostle once said, "Pray that the word would go forth unhindered." Did you know that words, whether spoken or written, are capable of going forth and taking on a life of their own? This quote from 2 Thessalonians is obviously one example. In fact, the Bible itself is an accumulation of ancient words that have not only been written down, but spoken on more occasions than one can count. Other examples could be President Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, quote, 7 years ago today, end quote, as well as Reverend Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. The spoken as well as written word can inspire us to do the right thing, as well as to be brave in doing so. Yet using the same means, words can also be used to make us afraid, and even do the wrong thing. In Galatians 3:1, after having established churches in a province called Galatia, again the Apostle Paul was saddened to hear that these same churches had been influenced to abandon the unmerited favor Christ has made available to all who believe in him, for a mindset that told them that they could somehow earn the free gift of grace for their salvation's sake. Of these circumstances, Paul goes on to say, and I quote, "Who has bewitched you?" end quote. Another way of translating this is who has cast a spell upon you. The word spell is the root of the word spelling. A spell, therefore, can come from the spelling of specific words with the intent of affecting us wrongly. In 1973, when I was a boy, the U.S. Supreme Court codified and/or lawfully spelled out that abortion, in this case for the lack of scientific knowledge, was the law of the land. Consequently, a procedure carried out discreetly and in back rooms up until then could now be done legally and openly. On that day, a spell was cast upon a nation, and until recently, generations of young Americans were told it was okay to extinguish life in its earliest stages. More recently, in the case of the very real and at times lethal virus COVID-19, the pharmaceutical industry was allowed to bring a vaccine to market for the virus right away, whereas the normal process usually took a couple of years of testing. The federal government even got involved, requiring all Americans to get vaccinated, spelling this out as the law of the land, until courts intervened on behalf of states' rights. As data on this specific virus has reached the public, it turns out as real as COVID-19 is, it targets the same groups as other viruses, and the death rate per capita is nothing to fear. Regarding COVID and the propaganda that followed its arrival, it too has been nothing more than a spell cast across the world, the side effects of which both emotionally as well as physically are still being experienced. My name is Owen Ryder. Thanks for listening.